will make you think. So if you're rich or you're poor, homeless or have a house, I think this will hit home with you. Hey, you're either going to hate me or you're going to like me on this channel, and that's why I'm going to tell you this story and also a tip. You know, people will say, hey, you never have a solution. Well, I try to give a tip every video. Sometimes they're kind of subtle, but I will give a tip and a story here, and this is what's kind of going on here. So this is not your homeless story. This is not your classic homeless situation. I want to just talk about, again, you know, what I've been seeing other people in the comments, but also affirmation on something huge, and that's just the division. You know, they talk about the Great Divide, right? You know, and I always kind of went, well, I know that's probably coming, but, you know, whatever, and just always put it on the back burner, you know, and then here I am living on a bike, and I had a business and a house and a family, and I actually I'm still, my children are all grown up, and I'm still friends with my ex-wife. I didn't lose all my business and lose my house overnight. It was just a evolution of kind of getting rid of things after I got divorced. But, you know, as I travel as a solo guy, I witness things, and you can call me creepy old guy or whatever, or not. See, I didn't cut my hair, by the way. You know, those things are just comments from people that are giving me fuel to make these videos. So any negative comments you got, bring them on. Because it helps me. It makes me make more videos and give more information because I miss stuff. But anyway, here's a quick story on what happened to a very good friend of mine. And he just is really recent. And I talked to him and he said, yeah, you should make a video about this. So I worked up in Alaska with this guy for many years, good friend of mine. And his business kind of dissolved, and they actually sold their business and made a good chunk of money, and then the partnership kind of went their own ways. And over the years, we kept in touch, and then about 2 years ago, he saw one of my videos when I was in Colombia, and he said, man, you need to get a life. You know, you're just wandering around on a bicycle, like some of my comments, whatever, all negative, and get a life, get a place to live, all this kind of stuff. And this is a guy who knew me and knew what I had been through in my life and used to support me in all my decisions. And there was all this anger, and it was just an email or a message through Instagram. And I thought, wow, that's really strange. It doesn't even sound like the same guy. Now you can comment, oh, maybe he just saw you were getting older and cared about you and all that kind of thing. Well, that's what I thought at first. And then as I started hearing things and learning things, I heard that a lot of their money, and I don't want to get into it, went away. And it went away for several reasons of irresponsibility and things like that. And so, and just life, you know, things happen. You got a lot of money and something might happen. And that's the thing here. In this video, I'm trying to, if you have a lot of money and you're secure and situated, I love that. I think that's great if you've done well. And if not, this is still a good story. But the same way, it can be gone overnight. No matter what, no matter how secure you think you are, it can be gone today. And so, and this is proof. So he lost it all and was making these comments to me, and so I kind of figured it out. Maybe he's unhappy. So I got in touch with him, and he apologized first off, and he said, hey man, things aren't good, and I want to talk to you. And I said, sure, let's meet up, you know, and it was a couple months before we could meet up. I was on a bike trip. We met up in the Sierras, California, and spent a couple days camping together. And when he showed up at my hotel where I was on my bike, you know, I got a room, and he showed up with a bike. Now he flew into Reno, went up to Tahoe, got a ride, Uber, met me, he had a bike. And he goes, I want to go with you for a few days. And I was totally not prepared for this. This is a guy who had everything and criticized me for having nothing. And he's going to go on a trip with me now, but he's a good friend. So anyway, we continued on for a couple days, you know, and we did this trip together, and he explained to me what happened and just how he was sorry about everything. And so without getting into that story any deeper, let's just talk about what I'm talking about in this video here. And what I'm talking about is, as I tour around, I see a lot of people, like in this thumbnail, you know, that are nice families, you know, they got their act together and life is going great, like, you know, in that time of their life with the children and all the money's coming in. And then they see a guy that's kind of dirty on a bike like me, and they're like, whoa, what the hell? And that's more extreme now. People will actually run away. Not for me. I'm not. You can comment and say, well, maybe it's because your hair or you're a scary old guy. That's cool. I love that. But the thing is I see it happen to other people that are just, together. They're clean and they got their bike, and people just, and it's not just cyclists. It's just somebody walking into a store or a restaurant. And a great comment I had from a guy he's a creator that I watch all the time. He said he walked into a restaurant, and he had been in this town for a couple days, and the hostess kind of knew, okay, here he is again, and he's alone. If you're a loner, kind of like me, you can get this. He walked in alone, and the people just looked at him, and the hostess says, oh, one again? That kind of thing. So, this is a video for, people that are kind of witnessing the divide. You don't have to be poor or be out on a bike living like me, like a nomad. But I think you could probably comment and say, oh yeah, I am doing great in my life, and I do notice this. To me, that's a real person who has it all but cares about the people who don't. I'm not saying wants to support people in the gutter on drugs and things like that, but people that are lightening their load. Here's the other thing. This is really, really important, is as I tour and go through life, and that story I just told you is important because there's a whole bunch more coming into my life that are losing stuff. Now, not everybody. Now, people who invested in certain corporations that are doing well, I won't talk about those. Those people are living, they don't even see the bad stuff going on. And when you're in that, and I've kind of been there before, where life is good and the money's rolling in, and I don't want to be bothered with any negative stuff, because that's just going to bring me down, and it's going to threaten my way of life, right? I love that person who lives and has the money and has the great life, but understands other people's situations. In my time, even right now, I'm doing okay. I'm living, I'm healthy, I got things I need. And I have a tendency to feel bad for people, like, oh no, I'm doing better. Like, especially if it's like somebody I know really well, or somebody in my extended family that's not doing well. And all of a sudden it's like self-sabotage can come in. A lot of people do that, before you can get to your next point, you'll self-sabotage because somebody you love isn't doing well. That's the other thing. If you are doing good, and like me, if I'm doing good, I want to share that more. I want to kind of get that vibration out there, because it's collective. If everybody's doing good, it's no fun to have everything and be doing great and everybody else having a shitty time. And by you doing well and doing better and helping them, that's the whole, cycle that helps. That's the good cycle. The great divide, kind of, if you don't have anything, people look at you and you're sort of just guilty right off the bat for nothing. And I'm getting that from some of my comments, like, the way people make comments to me, and that's like, those are those people that are standing, that family right there. They're making comments on here. That kind of a person. That's great, because maybe they learned something from the way that I live and you live and others, and vice versa. Maybe some people that aren't doing well can maybe figure out a way to make some more money and get themselves together, health and approachable person, that's it. Please like and subscribe, and I love you guys coming here. It's been a great week with you all. This series especially, because it's my life. It's what I'm doing. I've got the bike. I talk about the bike. I tell stories, all real stories, most of them about me, and some about other people that are in my life or I'm interested in. Thank you. Talk to you in the next one.